Right, and we have the pleasure of Barcast today. Um, I wonder if we can get him on voice chat.
Battle started.
We've got different start positions. Hello.
Hey.
Hello. So you can say what it is or not. You can give whatever detail you feel comfortable. But why are you building wind generators even when it's low?
So I'm not stalling energy.
You're not stalling energy, so you've just built wind generators?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, typically I don't make the solars unless I'm stalling energy.
Okay. Because I know some people will make the solars just because it's faster. Why would you make wind generators instead?
Because it's a wind map.
Okay. And you value the long-term energy production rather than...
Yeah, I think so. So like right about now, I'd probably like make one. So.
Okay. And specifically because you're stalling?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Ooh, it's pretty low still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love how you're like not quite stalling. You've lost about 300 build power on your factory, or you lost a bunch more there. 662 build power gone. Actually, let's see if we can do a thing. Wind's been really stubbornly low this game.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Jamerz.
Hi. Sorry, I was feeding my cat.
Are you specifically just rushing? I guess it's working so far.
He did say a quick game.
This looks like it's gonna be a quick game.
Honestly, the recent meta I've seen in 1v1s is starting very army heavy and then bringing cons out later.
Yeah.
Really emphasize like that early pressure and like breathing room.
Yeah. Okay. I've done this thing too, what BC's doing here. It's just... I assume because he's decided he's got enough damage with his army, he's just 100% stopped building the army. And then factory builds cons and he immediately walks his commander away. And I guess that's for as rapid economic scaling as possible.
Yeah. There's a couple 3-mech spots to go to, so...
Yeah, and the com hits all of them and then back to the factory. And the cons... What's the plans with the cons?
Keep the system alive.
Okay, just while the com's not there? Or will they
Yeah,
keep there
exactly.
when the com comes back?
I'd probably just keep adding cons. Like, yeah.
Okay.
Commander, self-destructed.
Oh, that was very one-sided.
Battle ended.
Yeah, so you went mostly for just army at first, and
Yeah, I didn't make any cons. Just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting.
I gotta go record something with full shock and LDM for the EPL. I'll pop back in later. Yeah.
Alright. Well, see you. Thanks for the game.
Enjoy. Yeah, thanks.
Alright, Othello.
Alright,
Thus is the joy of Grunt's first pawns.
Yeah, the thing is, I felt like even though I knew that pawns should win 1v1 technically, it just, the grunts were really good at zoning me out because of the
Battle
range.
started.
Yeah.
And that's why grunts are better in 1v1. Like core.
Generally speaking.
Range of...
It's... Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Jamerz.
Oh, all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, in my experience, you know, abusing the range and getting a whole lot of free damage and then just like slowly pushing Armada player back to their base, and then they're just like zoned out of the map or you win. It's like how a lot of core versus ARM games go. The only exception is if like the ARM player uses some type of rush, like they start in like the most forward position, which isn't like economically advantageous, but allows you to get units on your enemy a lot quicker, and then you've got like fixing their base, ruining their eco and stuff, and then you're leveraging that advantage. Like, it's a little trickier as ARM. You have advantages, but that grunt advantage is pretty good. So like if they end up amassing a lot of them, then you have to start to worry. Yeah.
You also have...
Especially when you have... Oh, I was just gonna say, like,
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number, but if you have so many grunts that they can one-tap Armada units, that's their, like, their critical mass, right? Because they can work through your army pretty quick. They attack fairly fast.
So, it's worth mentioning, in this situation, Barkas is barely vulnerable to a tick. A tick going down the mid in sort of this is actually really easy for his grunts to close off. There's some ability, if it skirts around there, that you could probably, like, sneak in and then get around the back and do, like, max damage to him. But then he's also got so much metal left that he's gonna get, like, even if you destroy both of his mexes right now, he's gonna get out, like, another, like, 8 grunts at least before, like, you stop that production. And so, that's kind of the thing, even though a tick would be good to send out simply because it pressures him and keeps his grunts a little bit more entertained at base, plus you'd see his grunts coming, the biggest thing I'd say is, number one, walking this constructor away over here, you have this 90-something metal in storage, so either, like, the commander needs to linger here for longer, or you need to not walk this constructor away over there in order to make use of that resources. Because now that difference is going to build up even more. All that's resources that you didn't use. So it's like, if we say it's like, for these 3 mexes, it's like they produce 2 mexes metal a second. per second you delay this constructor, that's 6. You could 6 metal. You could have delayed this constructor 15 seconds, and that unused metal would have never, like, you wouldn't have noticed the missing that much metal, and it would have just been fine for you.
Did you make a tick before all this to scout your opponent?
No, I should have done that.
Yeah, because
I'm not. Yeah, because then I would have realized what was happening. Well, I don't know if I would have read the game properly, but I'm still.
It certainly would have helped.
But it would have helped,
especially if you micro the tick to get some really good scouting in. You would have known that he's like going army heavy, and you would have responded. You wouldn't have made a second con or like moved both of your constructors out and kept assisting the lab, or you would have at least anticipated all of the army a little bit more. Been able to respond correctly to that.
I don't mind. I don't mind going a second constructor in this sort of a situation. Like
when
with
your
the
opponent
number
is going full army. I mean,
well, because there's a couple things. Number one, the army is coming through here. That's a good start. That's a good thing. Your commander is pretty capable of closing that off and plugging that hole.
Yeah.
Another thing is simply 2 constructors. What I'd say is, personally, these 2 constructors should have been on the factory still. Especially if the commander's moving away so fast. And number 3 thing that's quite a significant difference in terms of like metal spent in army. I guess you have spent more metal in army than him, but he's had much more metal that he can spend on that, because in terms of energy production, 816 in terms of metal production here. Actually, I was wrong about that. He's actually spent more on energy production than you.
But it is true that with my solars, like I built those when wind was at 3.
Yeah.
Well, what he was saying was that because he was installing, he wasn't going to build solars unless he ends up stalling, because the winds will be more efficient in the long term.
Right. And like if we look at metal cost, right, it does this is broken, that's annoying. It does dip below the efficiency of ARM solar in a couple places. The wind speed that you need for like for ARM solars to be more metal efficient than ARM wind generators is 4.77. So and it does dip down to 3, and it did actually spend a reasonable chunk of time below that, like between 7.3 seconds and like it spent like 50 seconds there, and then it came back and did that again, which is relatively uncommon. But then it also spent a lot of time above that, and I may be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure this section here outweighs that section, and this section there outweighs that section. And then most of the time for the rest of the game, like averages 12 wind speed. It's generally going to be sitting, like, the average efficiency is going to be sitting above, like, this top line of Core Advanced Fusion. I think. Oh no, sorry, the top line up there is Core Advanced Fusion. So but yeah, it's going to, the average for most of the game, it's going to be even above that. Which is weird why it hasn't been like that at all so far this game. And so long term, you're going to get a lot more value. Yeah. Anyway, if someone's being like ultra aggressive like this, you can fairly effectively shut them down by simply, like, not even building pawns. So you're going to know that if he's done something like this, you don't need to worry about this constructor keeping building. You can just pull him back to your base. The reason you can pull him back to your base is because he doesn't have this constructor out there. So if you pull back to your base and these mexes die, you haven't really lost anything much by losing those mexes. You lose a lot more by losing the constructor, which can build stuff. But even if you lose that constructor, you're actually fine. You haven't lost that much. What really becomes an issue is when you start losing their space.
Yeah, I think I got too concerned here. Like, the way that I was trying to position my army was actually to try and defend that constructor. Because I don't think I made the right decision. I should, like you said, I should have moved it back. And honestly, I could have just moved my commander to block most of that entrance. Like, maybe even build an LT maybe not now, since he has like a lot of units, but even before, I could have just built an LT and stopped all of that.
Well, a commander can definitely build an LLT in the face of this many grunts. And especially if the grunts come and try to kill the LLT while he's building it, the commander's going to laser down the grunts faster than the grunts kill the LLT, and so positive trade for you. Like, huge win for you, especially when wind's low. He's going to be struggling on energy. That's going to be an extremely positive trade for you. So rather than building the LLT over here, like, this is already defended by the commander. Don't need an LLT as well. Just walk the comm over here. This con...
I think I was too worried about defending my expansions rather than doing the moving the commander there and blocking the push.
Yeah. This con doesn't really know that you're outnumbered yet, so it could be sort of premature to back this con off at this point in the game. But what I'd definitely be thinking about doing is, if he's got army up here, I'd be thinking about switching into something heavier like a Centurion that can match this. Especially when energy's still low and you're more desperate for army, because if you think about it, the amount of time it takes his army to travel up there, that's 43 seconds. Amount of time it takes your army to travel up there, like a pawn, sure, it takes 11 seconds, and that's an advantage for you, but a Centurion is still just 21 seconds, and then it has a bunch of extra army, so you still get most of the advantage of it being closer to you and it being really fast to travel there, but then you also get a much more formidable unit that can just shut his push down. Definitely do not build this extra constructor when you know the stuff that army can do. Yeah. But you have, like, you've built like 20% of the constructor or something, and before it completes, you've built like a quarter of the constructor. Now, a quarter of the constructor, I mean, is a bit less than quarter of a Centurion, because a Centurion does cost a lot more, but that would have been like half a pawn or something like that. And then the other thing is, don't go into ticks in this case. Maybe one, in order to like get more information on what's going on, but your command is probably better than that at that, or a radar or something that doesn't have to come into range, doesn't have to take fire. And then you can focus on like building a Centurion. Like, these two together is what, 230 build power. A Centurion takes 4,200 to build, so would only take you 18 seconds to build that Centurion. That's about the time as like 2.5 pawns, I think. Yeah, 2.5 pawns approximately to build that Centurion. So that also means you don't need as much build power, and if you don't build this, you've got plenty of metal for it. The other problem with here is, like, here's defended, right? So you don't need to defend this. And in high-stakes situations, what's going to happen if you defend here, that opens up here and here to be vulnerable, because then he's got all this extra army that's mobile that can just ignore over there. So what happens? He comes over here with his army. And, like, gradually whittles you down.
Yeah, this is zoning. Yeah, and that was a pretty bad engagement on my part anyway.
Yeah. Your ticks are running in and not really doing anything. And then they just run over here. If you had... if you, for example, like, had a couple more pawns or a centurion, that's now defending this area, and your comm's over here just fine. Maybe it can walk over here a bit, but it's really like, if you lose your energy, you're in a terrible position. If you lose your build power and your factory, you're in a terrible position. If you lose these metal extractors and that constructor and those metal extractors over there, you're fine. Like, you're still, like, well ahead in metal produced. You don't have to worry about that. And that's something that you can be pretty confident. Like, you see this constant stream of grunts. You can deduce from this, he hasn't built a constructor at any point in the game so far. Like, maybe you could be unsure if he maybe built one constructor. But you know at least his commander or that one constructor is sitting on the factory. You don't really have to worry about getting behind economically. You've already got enough of a boost from them. And then, so what this commander would best do is walk straight over there to the factory. These army grouped right up here, positioned to defend your solars. Don't worry about your mexes so much, and just posture there and wait. Now, ticks, if you're in a tight space where you've got a bunch of resources, Centurion would be a lot better. Let's say it's like 5 ticks to a Centurion. You could have had a Centurion and you've lost another tick. So yeah, you could have easily had a Centurion by now, because there's 6 ticks, 7 in total, plus whatever you're building. Could very easily posture to defend this. But also your comm can just come over. And if your comm comes over here, rather than over here, it would be most of the way over there, and it would just be able to meet up your army, and by the time any reinforcements come in, it can defend, and then it can use your extra resources, because if your comm just comes over here and reclaims, you don't need that metal anyway.
Yeah.
Rule of thumb when engaging grunts, only turn towards them when they are already moving towards you. If you turn towards them when they are already moving away, or they are moving sideways, or they are not moving at all, you've got no shot of catching them. They have to be moving towards you, because then that takes them, it takes them like half a second to turn around or something. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but a portion of a second to turn around. And that's like the portion of the second, and it's not just to turn around, it's also to slow down and to speed up in the other direction. That portion of a second, which might be like quarter of a second or something like that, is what you need in order to jump on them. I'm not sure whether it's half a second or a quarter of a second. If it's half a second, that's like 40 units, where the range difference between them is 180 to 215. So that's enough if you're right at the edge of the range to get in range. If they don't react immediately, then you've got a little bit more of a buffer. If it's a quarter of a second, then you need them to have somewhat slow reaction time and be right against that range. But that's the kind of thing. The other thing you want to do is you want to engage when your pawns are moving You want to engage when your pawns are moving sideways, and then turn on him while he's moving like this. Like, that's what you want. That's your optimal engagement for pawns against grunts, and it can work, especially later in the game when their attention is divided. But it's on a knife's edge, and it takes extreme practice. Back in the day, I got reasonably good at it on like 700 ping, and when ranges were longer and the speeds were the same. But yeah.
Also, it's their speed is 81, their acceleration is 360, so that works out to 0.45 seconds, so closer to half a second.
Yeah. Okay. I just don't know if they entirely have to turn around. But then it's not just them turning around, it's also that they travel towards you for a bit. And so that can also be like, get them slightly further into range. So, yeah. Yeah, so focus on defending this, and what's absolutely most important, all your eggs are in the basket for energy, so you need to keep the energy alive. Once the energy goes, then you're dead. And that's the only
just
thing.
tapping the sellers.
Yeah. That pawn, by the way, it was like right on the end of the line where only one could fire at it. It could have just stayed there and worked through them one by one, but it like ran into the middle, got shot by a bunch, and then died. So yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to set target the weakest one just to reduce the numbers because I know he was focusing on the eco. But I could have.
More important is keep yours alive. And then like similarly in situations like this, just wait and don't engage until you've
got the numbers.
Until you've got the numbers, yeah. Commander build solas in this kind of a situation. Where you're down on energy, your commander can defend this, and you're actually like fine in this situation. You really are. You haven't lost by any means. This is like a sort of scary force against you, but you've still got these two mexes. You've got a bunch of reclaim and res, and it is going to take you a little bit of time to catch up, and he does have a bunch of advantages, but you do too. You've got the extra metal lying on the field. You've got the two mexes that you already have. He's only just getting to his other metal extractors. So you've got a bunch of advantages. Don't give up. Play it out and see what value you can eke out of the situation. And that will prepare you for next time, and you'll go, it's like, okay, I needed to do these things earlier because they gave me the most value. And then you know how to play out and weather the situation and actually win from it. Players can win from this kind of a dire position. Yeah. Do you want to have another go at that?
Yeah.
Alright. Same map.
Should we switch that back maybe?
Jamerz, can you do the spam like Barkas did?
Sure, I suppose.
Cool.
You want me to do it just like he did?
That's right.
Or some variation of it?
Just like he did. Or vary it if you want
Alright.
to, however you want to.
Alright.
Sorry, Othello, we were just discussing details behind your back.
Got it. I can also deafen myself if that is better.
It's easier if I do it.
Alright.
Battle started.
Now see, I'll do the same thing with, like, area repair. It's a great way to get extra value out of the situation. Like, if the con's not gonna do anything else, repair or reclaim enemy units. Wind is looking a lot more, productive this game. Othello, this is a great example of your stalling energy, so drop a solar, because otherwise your factory turns off, and the amount that your constructor will be delayed by, like, by your building, like, your constructor's already been delayed by approaching 6 seconds. Now 6 seconds per max is 12 metal per max. 3 mexes, that's, like, 36 metal. That's most of the efficiency difference between your, probably not, but it's a significant portion of the efficiency difference between your wind generators. So, and then I'd also keep building wind generators now that you're energy stalling a bit. You're not energy stalling so much that you can't build wind generators, because you've got like plus 30 energy that you could be using to build wind generators right now, so you didn't really need another solar.
I see.
And then once wind goes back up and you've got plenty of energy remaining, just either get another constructor or head that commander out. What happened to your ticks?
Well, Jamerz caught them with the grunts. I tried to
Right.
evade, but I was not able to.
Right, okay. Okay. I'd grab that pawn. That's... I guess you can leave it. And now that you know there's such a big forest there, also grab your constructor, stop building that max, and build a laser tower or return it to your base or something like that, Othello. Yeah. Why didn't
Oh,
you
I did not
finish
finish that laser.
Yeah, that'll be rough.
I didn't. I thought I had.
Yeah. Don't make those hesitations when you're engaging grunts, just run straight through them. Now that you've killed a few of his grunts, now is a good time to start either expanding with your commander again, or something like that. Alright. Keep pushing with that commander. remember what I said about running those pawns in. You're...
Wasn't it?
Commander has died.
How do you get the D-guns to actually go fast? Because it keeps deselecting my commander
Battle ended.
I don't know.
when I do that.
I
So I felt like I had enough energy to do that.
you were stalling by the end.
Yeah, I like my variation better, just doing the one con, because you end up like not starting at 0 and like doing that com walk for 2-3 mexes is like okay, but I'd rather have con out walking early,
Yeah.
applying pressure.
Are you guys practicing 1v1s?
Yeah.
We are.
I am unranked open skill. Got the game yesterday. I've been trying to play this game, and no one seems to tolerate me being unranked and new to the game.
Oh, that's rough. Hey, can I...
Well, feel free to, watch,
Battle started.
learn.
Alright, so Othello, Jamerz started over here and these 3 mexes started with a con before he went into his grunt spam. And so that makes the details of responding to it a little different. It's still really similar. It's still real, like, the scouting is important, and it's important to pay attention to those scouts. And these constructors, like, what you do with the constructor over here is fairly similar, especially because you've got the commander expanding. But you definitely want to move the commander into the gap here, establish a laser tower, or, yeah, establish a laser tower, and then your comm can possibly keep moving forward, or something. But you actually got a reasonable amount of information from those ticks, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
I saw
you've
this
seen
con,
this
and I
con.
could have done better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it, and I could have done better about keeping them alive, though. I should have split
Yes.
them, I think.
Yeah, likely. And I would generally avoid at all costs coming into a place like this where you can be trapped. I'd stay in this area, and if he pushes you out, let him. Just so you keep them alive, because they'll give you more value overall. Alright. So you know there's a con, but you also know that he's got a bunch of grunts there, and you know that he's got more grunts than you. Than you have pawns. That is a great signal that you need to go relatively defensive, let's say. And in terms of you need more units, or you need more defenses, and so I'd probably say like what you did here initially is alright. But I would definitely aim to get more scouts out across the map just to monitor what the army's doing. It's moving around, you don't know what it's doing. It could be you want to know when it's coming. But the other thing is high priority is building an army that can respond. And if you're going to be sitting back like this and defending like that, probably with a Centurion or something like that. Either that or...
Yeah, I should have...
even at this point, you can just bring that commander up. Commander up to the gap is probably comparable time to grunts. It's 10 seconds faster than grunts moving from the space. So if when you saw this, you moved your commander up here and dropped the laser tower there immediately, that's actually plenty of time to stop all these grunts that are coming for you. And then he just can't come through.
I kind of, I feel like I kind of misread it, because I was worried about him doing the same strategy, but then I did see the comm.
Yeah.
I started constructor, and so I had thought that, I was like, okay, maybe he's not, and then, yeah, so I kind of tricked myself a little bit.
Yeah. Com in
The
this
positioning of that
situation.
LT was bad.
Yeah. But also, come in this situation, just move that way, close the gap. He stops running through, and then you've got, like, you've got all his grunts are on one side of your base. And that's part of what you want to do. Make sure his grunts are all on one side of your base. Once they're all on one side of your base, then you've got this opportunity. Like, you've got 12 pawns here, he's got 10 grunts. You're actually an advantage. You didn't need to seed this at all. And so you just push him back against the water. And if you get good engagements, you micro your pawns well, he dies. Also, totally a good time to switch into like a Centurion. And again, because that Centurion builds so fast compared to like your pawns, because the Centurion builds so fast compared to the pawns, you'll actually free up these constructors, and you can, once this is secure, like send the constructors over here and repair, expand, or because all his grunts are over here, you can send the constructors over here, maybe with a backup Centurion, start expanding over there. You've got options, you've got freedom. But what we do is, with this considerable army advantage, like 702 metal against 420, you just wait, and you put all your army over here, and even when you actually kill some, like a good bunch of it, then you back off and you just let him go. And so he's still got this army over there you still have to defend, and this army over here. And then the other thing I think you do is, he has these two armies, both of which are really small, 168 metal, 250. Like, that's 324, that's 486. If this army was just split other side of your base, you'd be fine. Absolutely fine. Still a little behind because you didn't manage to protect your expansions when you very much had enough army to protect your expansions. But yeah, you'd be fine. And you'd have advantages that you could work with to claw your way back into the game.
Yeah, trying to keep in mind the whole thing about engaging grunts when they're engaging towards you, rather than like when they're moving away. I think I still needed to get used to that a little bit, because I don't think I did it right.
Yeah. And once you've engaged, don't unengage until you're not firing. Once you're not firing, then you get out.
Okay.
Alright.
Actually, I had a question. So earlier you're saying there's that 12 pawn engagement on the 10 grunts, and that he killed 3 or 4 of them, and that was a good time to keep running after them.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, if you do that, aren't you just going to end up getting kited by the remaining 5? Or is it that you're so much bigger it doesn't matter?
Okay, the problem there was that he hesitated and turned back while he was still in range and firing at them.
Oh, that's the distinction.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, glad you asked for clarification. Let's have another go at that. Othello, do you want to do grunts and I'll do pawns?
Yeah, I can give it a go.
Cool.
Is there anyone here in this lobby that I could just maybe coach and practice 1v1?
I could be interested, sure.
Like I said, I just got the game. I have some small stuff, but
I've always suggested to new players to practice in the scenarios and against AI, because then you can get the hang of like
Please choose your
hotkeys
starting
and
location.
basic unit controls and commands before you try PvP, because that way you can focus more on like the 1% improvements, like how you can get better, rather than like the overarching, like what is this unit, what can it do, like where, what options do I have available in my build queue and stuff like that.
I have pretty good like practice with just doing bots. I can't do air, I can't do sea, I can't do hover. And I get about middle of tier 2, and then I seem to just stall. I can't like keep up metal production. I can't keep up unit production. I just get overwhelmed.
So
I don't know.
So for you, your emphasis would be on post T1 play, so not necessarily duels play. Is that accurate?
I
I
think
mean, I guess
T2.
I need overall practice. Like I've played
Fair
a
enough.
couple 8-8s, and I can't even, like I can't play front. I can't play support front. I can't play C. I definitely shouldn't be playing eco. So it's like I just get stuck in tier 1 brawls, and then I get overwhelmed because my front gets overwhelmed, and then I'm like, cool. And I'm just sitting here in a 7v8 because my base got overran at the 5-minute mark.
Are you playing on Supreme Ismiths or Glitters, all that glitters, by any chance?
Isthmus is what I play on a lot of, but I'm not on any map right now.
Gotcha. Yeah, because Ismith has a very well-studied meta, which is the generous way of saying people have really over-optimized that map. So it is especially difficult for new players to pick up. So I recommend, one is if you want to keep playing Ismith, there's some good guides out there on YouTube that explain how all the roles work, how to play them well. And then second is you can also just avoid Ismiths and play what's called Rotato, just rotating lobbies with different maps. So those don't have nearly as well studied metas, so you might have better mileage there.
I have played Isthmus almost exclusively, and I would absolutely not recommend it for a new player.
Okay.
Yeah, typically
It's
the best
very good
players
at
go
teaching
on
bad
front
habits.
because front's so chaotic and under pressure. Typically, the best
Well,
players
it's like
take
most
it.
of the time, I don't try to take front. I try to take pond, or I try to take geo, but I just can't scale enough in those positions to really help out. And then other times when I get put in front, like I said, I get overrun at the 5-minute mark. Some units get by, blow up all my ego, and then if I'm back to square one at 5 minutes, which everyone knows just snowballs.
Yeah, the trick to Isthmus frontline is winning early and getting those middle mexes. And obviously the reclaim in the middle helps you do that. Like getting your hands on that allows you to secure the middle mexes, and then you can actually scale, but not getting them, it's unlikely you'll do much than block the door for the enemy a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes, I would recommend play other maps, play all the other maps, play everything.
Just don't play it.
You could play it sometimes to see how it differs,
Just the range there.
but like just play a bunch of maps and just try to have fun in them.
I mean, I definitely seem to
And
have
then-
more fun in more free-for-all rather than like large team v team.
What
Or
is
like-
Free-for-all is a
going
great
on with
place to
this
learn
race
a lot
model?
of the game.
Is it new?
It looks disturbingly borked.
And then everyone, like, I can't get into lobbies because every time I get into a lobby, they change minimum chevron or they just boot me to
Yeah.
spectator. Like, I can't play anything if no one's gonna let me play.
There are a lot of noob lobbies that should let you play. mean,
I'm in a new lobby. I was
majority-
in a new Potato 8v8, and they put me into spectator.
Well, that's just rude. It's a noob lobby.
And I'm trying to play against other players. I'm not trying to play noob versus bot because I'm trying to. Like, I've played like 5 or 6 games now, and I still haven't gotten something.
Unit
I'm not
lost.
expecting it to be anything, but like, I'm still unranked.
You know, I got most of my experience in 1v1 before I really did much with 8v8. And I think it was better, right? I just had to learn like meta strategy and like little adjustments for like team games, but overarchingly I knew how to play the game pretty well. If anything, I just felt poor because I had less mexes. So I was just working on like unit efficiency and stuff like that.
That's showing me the big difference between 1v1 and team games for sure.
I don't know if someone would just want to open a 1v1 and just watch me for a little bit with a spectator, maybe. I keep trying to get into lobby.
When are we gonna implement additional players into this to start teaching? Because our current students are getting pretty good. Maybe this guy could
eventually
start being a regular.
I don't know. I've been
I think
wondering
that's
about
I have
that.
no plans.
I'm glad you think so, Jamerz.
Well, I haven't been wasting my time here, right?
I mean, maybe you have.
I literally guarantee no matter anyone I play, I'm probably going to lose. I just want, a little bit of help understanding, the basics and then transitioning into later gameplay. Like, I've been asking a few people here and there, and they're like, yeah, you overbuilt this at, this point in time, or you underbuilt this, like you ran out of resources because you didn't build enough of this. Like, small little things that I need to, improve on that would help me fluidly move into tier 2, but I guarantee that anyone I play is probably going to win because my micro... I can't macro and micro at the same time.
That's normal.
Yeah, I know. I'm a bad RTS player at that. I played StarCraft 2 and I could hardly beat that.
Well, being able to macro and micro at the same time is like the thing we all practice, right? Because I know better in both realms, but in the heat of fighting, not managing your eco is how you lose. Oh, I'm behind, I forgot to scale. So that's the big thing you'll be practicing constantly. Just saying.
Also, just learning transitions or timings or learning ratios. I don't know. You guys would have to watch a game to see what I do, and I feel like I have a pretty good understanding. But it's I always end up underproducing and stalling out, and then I just get over it.
Unit lost.
And it's I try scaling up production.
We're gonna be, at least me, I'm gonna be pretty wrapped up, co-hosting with Bell here and helping teach these games. But if you take one of your 1v1s, or maybe go play some 1v1s and submit one of those games to the Bar Academy in a thread, and then me or one of the other mentors can do what you are asking for and sit down and watch a game with you and go over details, especially if we're on voice chat. If I step in and do it, I'm more than happy to share my screen and watch your replays, and we can take it step by step, what you should be thinking about with eco and how to open unit matchups and stuff like that.
Okay, how would I submit that? Because I have a lot of larger games, but I haven't played any 1v1.
Play the game. Go to the Bar Replays website. All public replays are stored. All public games are stored as replays. Search your name. Find the game. Post the link to the game.
Where do I post that? Just in Academy chat?
In Bar Academy, make a new thread.
Where would that chat be? Under general chats in Academy?
It's the one under general chat. There you go. Nutty Wombat has just done the text review of how you do it.
What did that really?
Okay, so it's that.
You're wasting energy.
Oh,
What would be a good map to host for 1v1s?
Latch. Or red comment.
I like I just cried.
Which map was that, Jamerz?
I just cried.
Is it
Yeah,
this?
I think that's too complex for a newer player though.
Would Pinewood?
Pinewood
maybe?
is very restricted in what you can do. So much to the point where it limits a lot of the skills you can learn to skills that aren't going to be particularly useful on other maps.
Your commander is heavily damaged.
But if I'm just trying to understand the basics and like improve a general build, I mean, I get it's restrictive, but I'm not
Yeah,
trying
a general
to...
build, Avalanche is your best bet, I would say.
See, Master Bell is using an 8v8 strategy. Rocket bots.
Good.
Very efficient.
I think this is probably somewhat
I mean, he had
relatable because everyone at
bugs.
some point struggles with it.
What else am I supposed
Oh
to
wait,
do?
I thought I had enough on you. Dang it.
No. Not even close. I was at like 90%.
Battle ended.
What? Your character looked like your commander looked like he was like beat up.
He'd taken like a scratch.
Okay, well I misjudged that.
I'd only called it a 8v8 strat because he had T2 coming behind it, which is like a super common 8v8 strategy. It's just rocket bots to hold while you rush T2. Yeah. Fusion, are you still busy, or are you gonna hop in the next match?
That would actually be a good matchup. I think he left the voice chat to chat with someone else. But he's not in the voice chat anymore, at least.
Battle started.
How'd you feel about that one, Othello?
I feel like I threw it at the end.
Okay, how's...
To be perfectly honest, like I feel like I threw away my grunts because I feel like grunts can do really well against rocket bots.
Yeah.
I needed to not be impatient. Like I think that and like on the left it took me a while
Let's
to
go have a
adjust
look
to your
at that.
Centurions on left. Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
But once I did, I was
headphones
fine.
cut out. What were you saying?
Oh yeah, it took me a while to like get used to the stuff you're sending on the to adjust to the Centurions that you sent on the left at some point. And so once I did, I felt like I was fine, and I feel like I could have just massed enough grunts to take out the rocket bots, but I was too impatient and took bad trade against your rocket bots, and then also didn't have enough build power at that point to keep spamming grunts.
If this was...
I only built that because I was overflowing.
If that was half a construction turret instead, then you'd be halfway to a construction turret. And these constructors would very shortly be able to walk out and start building things. You've actually, when it comes down to it, if you're planning to continue building grunts, you don't actually have enough energy for that. So building that converter and converting away that energy is actually converting away energy that you need to continue building grunts.
I see.
Not only that, it means that you can't use your metal for the entire time that you're building that, which is pretty problematic because you need to be able to spend your metal. You also did have a situation over here where your grunts, I think, add a fair amount of ability to like come over here, push down, or something like that. Even if they were over here and had moved up into the sort of an aggressive position, you may, maybe not yet, with the Centurion and the laser tower, but you kind of have, you're close to a position where you could sort of push through here. But I think, like, if you're going on a defensive thing here, the appropriate thing to do is switch to more expansion eco behind that. You're still ahead of eco because your commander's gone and built their stuff here. I think maybe the other thing I'd say is, your commander came over here and built this, right?
Yeah, I built that, I think, when I was M-stalling.
Yeah.
I tried to just, because the commander BP wouldn't be put to use.
And then he comes over here, and builds laser towers. I'd say is these can build laser towers right here perfectly fine on their own, and once this commander builds laser towers, he can't really do anything. So, if you send the commander next over to here, and then bring him back to the base, then maybe you're in a better position. If these units hold over here rather than holding over there, maybe you send some to scout or pressure or whatever, then you've got more ability to do stuff, and I certainly wouldn't bring these back over here. They're going to take a really long time to get there.
I think that was a mismicro. I think I put them back when I realized that I had done that. So I had them on an auto group, which I shouldn't have had. I had my commander there because I knew your commander was moving forward. Yeah. So I wanted to stop you from walking, but that sounds like that was not the best idea.
The reason I say put your commander there is because it's here. And nothing else is. So if your commander's over here and this is over here, then the roles switch. This job is to defend over here. You can go thugs or whatever, will help you cut through that metal very effectively. And your commander can go over there and grab more metal so that you can build more thugs. That's probably a better way to balance it out, I'd say. And then for this sort of resources here, you could have these laser towers back here. You've got a laser tower in that mechs anyway, so it's fine. And by now, you'd have these extra 3 mechs as you'd be sitting on like plus 20 metal per second, and you'd be huge advantage over me, I'd say. If these, I'm not sure exactly how much time those grunts spend dawdling over there, but compared to like this army here, compared to that, this is mostly ticks, that's mostly grunts. These could have just walked in here. The only problem is once they walk in here, they've got nothing to do for the like entire journey over there, which is like easily a minute long. So what I end up doing is I just build a couple of Centurions, and between my radar and that, I just know that I send Centurions over there, and you can't really kill me. And I'm not going aggressive because I know you invested very heavily in the army, and you have more army than me. You also have defenses. Like, it's very hard to go around that way because you just have a massive defender's advantage. And so I'm not going to really bother. I'm going to go into this because I know you have this big army over here. I'm going to go into these Centurions to make sure you can't do anything with that army. I'm going to just sit these here and block this off, make sure I have vision so I know if you're pushing something. And what I did is, like, again, it's like, I don't want to fight you on your terms, so I see this army and I just back off. And then that journey from your thugs down to here is going to take you a good 45 seconds. It's 42 seconds for my aggravators to match you up there, but like, the idea is that the time you take to walk over there is time I take to prepare my aggravators to respond. And I'm going to be a little bit behind, but I have laser towers, I have a res bot, or I'm moving it away, and then I've got these, and they can all just sit there and just hold you there for a little bit. And so you've invested all this in stuff that isn't going to do much. I'm just going to meet you right here, stonewall, while I continue expanding. And then I've got my economic advantage. And ultimately, that economic advantage is what went on to a 1 game.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. I'm not
I
sure.
think some of it is... Well, I didn't see how big your army was there, which is part of it. But I think a lot of it is just that I think it's taking me too long to react to things. Like, I feel like I'm always just like reacting, like in that game, instead of taking the initiative. Like, I see you doing something and then I respond to it, but it takes me a little bit of time to respond.
Yeah.
And that gives you the edge in that case.
Well, I think you're pulling as much, if not more, initiative than I am. The only thing I really did on my own initiative was expand, but I did that as a reaction to you. Like, I was like, okay, you've gone defensive, you've gone large number of units, so you've partly defensive, but partly large number of units you can push across the base. So I've stalled this out. I know I can't push you, and so I'm just going to defend this and expand behind it, is what I'm going to do. That was purely a reaction to you. So it might seem like the initiative, but it's a reaction. You pulled back, and so my reaction was to just follow you and keep an eye on you. Pure reaction, in my mind. And this I would consider, I mean, partly a reaction to me, because I have a commander and a centurion. You put thugs on this. I just fall back and switch to rocket bots. That is a practiced response. I see thugs, I fall back, and I throw out rocket bots. That's part of why I didn't build laser turrets up there, so that I can do something like that. You throw units at me, I'm undefended, I'm really weak up there, I've got just a commander and a centurion, I can't fight anything. So I just fall back. And then over here, these centurions were built to, like, stop those grunts from pushing. But once I've stopped them from pushing, I'm just gonna continue walking and continue eroding their map control until I've ideally come across to somewhere like there. And then I was like, well, why stop there? I'll just go further. But here is a pretty good choke point that I can just, like, you can't push through me anymore. So, like, apart from expanding more aggressively, another thing you could have done is you could have, rather than going thugs across here, more heavily invested into grunts. These centurions are isolated, and so they can very much just get swarmed by a large number of grunts.
Yeah, I think later I moved the thugs over to deal with the centurions.
Yeah,
and
but that takes
worked
so
pretty
long.
well. But yeah.
And because that's another thing. If you've got these constructors over here, you can also throw down some defenses against the centurions, and then it nullifies my centurions. The only problem with that is because I've responded better than you. I've got more useful units on the field because I've responded better to you. That means I've secured more territory with my defensive play, which means if I then eco and, say, go T2 behind that, I'm in a much advantageous position. Of, like, I've got 14% metal production, so I'll get to the next stage better. And because that's another thing I do, like, I know you're being defensive. I probably overestimated you in this situation. I could have just continued pushing at this point, and I eventually realized I could. But I didn't have to go for this T2. I could have just continued pushing, switched into pawns or something that can kill you quickly, push up the rocket bot, and just kill you dead. Could have done that. These centurions could have come back over there, so it would have taken you longer to kill them, so that... Or, like, they could have, like, done what I usually say and, like, back away from the base, come and killed that. I didn't know you had that, but I should have scouted, at least. Probably with that tick, that just died there. Yeah. And so I think, was this the point you were talking about with your grunts? It's like, well, I shouldn't have sacrificed my grunts.
No, it was actually even a little bit later. So
Yeah.
right now I'm like trying to get my build power up because I'm primarily doing grunts
Yeah.
against the rocket bots, but that means that it's hard for me to actually spend my metals, especially because of my energy problems. Because the grunts are really energy expensive.
Yeah. Had a bunch of build power you could have put on building solars.
Yeah.
But it's going to be hard for you to get enough metal for the solar segment. You can also reclaim. But like,
yeah, I think this might be the case where I
Yeah.
decided to go with the grunts, and I shouldn't have.
You have 20 grunts. I have 20, like 18 rocket bots, a commander, and a laser tower. And each of my rocket bots is worth like, I mean, about as much energy as a grunt, but like 3 times as much metal. That's not a fight you should be taking until you have way more grunts. And in that case...
And also the... Also the positioning, because you have the narrow field of fire, so I can't spread out to avoid the splash or the rockets themselves.
In that case, I reckon it would be much more profitable for you to go for something like area control laser tower. Couple twin guard or dragon's maw or something. Shut me down from pushing through there and send these grunts over there where I'm weak. That would be more profitable for you. Or go for and probably combine this with like aircraft. Push aircraft through there. Like shurikens. Like use something that turns off my advantages rather than fighting, like putting your might where I'm strongest. You don't yes, killing something is a way to make something useless, but it's often a very expensive way to make something useless. A great way to make something useless is just build a defense that could kill it. Or to just go somewhere else. That's another great way to make something absolutely useless. Or do a tech switch to something that outranges it, or something that outspeeds it, or just something it can't fire at otherwise, like aircraft. And then you can do that kind of a tech switch and you get crazy value out of it. Specifically because the aim of that is making me useless. And that's what I aim to do. I built those rocket bots to make your thugs useless, and so you had to back them up and go all the way over there. I built your centurions over here specifically to make your grunts useless, so you had to back them up and walk them over there. And then my rocket bots made them useless anyway.
Yeah, I feel like the only thing I thought about going air, but I didn't think I had the energy economy to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So which is why I didn't. But yeah, that HLT, I should have definitely made that.
Yeah. Well, the HLT will give you time to do something about the air economy.
Yeah, that hurts to watch.
Yeah. Wait all the way back here right at your base. Build static defenses. Or ranged units like Rocketeer. Sorry, Aggravator, your Cortex. Bunch them up here. If you're low on energy, that's extra reason to build something like Rocketeer or Thug. This should be in front here, not back there. And
I think I had built that way earlier.
Okay.
When you were raiding, but I should have eaten it or something.
Probably not. You've got plenty of metal in storage.
Oh yeah, I guess not.
Yeah.
But the thing with Rocketeers is, I always feel like, at least, like, correct me if I'm wrong here, I always feel like if you're pushing me with Rocketeers and then I switch to Rocketeers, it's just I will always be, like, at least with the numbers you have, even though I have Defender's advantage, I will still be, like, always behind.
You will be,
in
yeah.
Numbers. And so it just feels almost like...
I was kind of just listing things that are better. I mean, in terms of how many grunts you've built there, if you had been building Rocketeer, Aggravator, sorry, you've got about, and how many died? Apparently you've had about 30 grunts die in the last little bit. So you've got about, you've had about like 3,600 metal worth of grunts that you've built, and some came from earlier. But, well, okay, that's the grunts you have, plus metal and storage, plus grunts that have died. So if we go 3,600 divided by 140, 25 Rocketeer. Sorry. I'll be right back.
Just to step in and fill the void real quick. My thoughts when fighting a group of Rocketeers is to let them get close. Like, your LLTs won't stop them, but like Master Bell was saying, all the grunts that you have and would have, you're spending your metal. You know, you let them get close, and then you just run up on them and reclaim's nice and close to you.
Yeah, the principle...
Like, usually my game plan.
Principle is you want me in as weak as a position as possible, and you in as strong a position as possible. If I have to come first, that gives you the most amount of time to build additional army, to position it how you want it, additional defenses, all that sort of stuff. It puts you right where your build power is to repair. Additional other units that I might accidentally fire at, so if I spend time firing at your solars, great for you, because that doesn't destroy your army and gives you a chance to destroy mine. Your build power is there to repair your army, reclaim any wreck, all of that sort of stuff. So right here is where you're strongest, so this is where you want your army to be when you're fighting against me. And so you want me to come all the way up. Now you want me to be as far away from things like my commander and my LLTs. Any factory that could be producing additional units. My radar that might be giving me information about where your units are might provide direct line of sight on your units if you're closer to it. All those things. So you want to be as far away from me as possible. You want to be as close to you as possible. That's where you're strongest and I'm weakest, and you're going to get the most value out of your battle. Make sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, also, microing the grunts around this hill was really annoying, and like keeping them spread out. Because as you can see, they kept like pathing onto the other side of the hill.
Yeah.
So I had to keep like trying to pull them back.
Scramble them in the area rather than doing a line across. Do a scramble. I mean, I struggle with that too. But that's also another cue. You should be building another unit because the space is just too small for grunts. There's very little benefit to their speed and spread outness in this kind of a space. It's not going to help them dodge. It's hardly going to help them jump on the enemy because I'm coming to you and you want me to come to you. So you want to be a slower unit with more range.
See. Yeah, this was the thing where I was like, okay, I was too impatient, and that was just a terrible trade on my part.
Yeah. And now we say it's like, my laser towers and my commander are joining in the battle. Your commander is not in the battle, neither is your anything else. So that was exactly where I wanted the battle to be. And then I just slowly push forward. I could probably push forward faster than that.
Yeah, at least even though I was moving forward on there, it's kind of like, okay, like it's by the time it even gets to anything important, anything will be over.
Yeah, here's a good demonstration of, partly because I've realized I can finish the game through here and I've realized you're not sending your grunts around. This is open and empty. If your grunts were over here, absolute devastation. I possibly lose everything. Probably not this base. I might have time to put up enough LLTs to keep it alive, bring this recluse back or something like that. And then, of course, you're going to run into the issue. Now I've got T2 units out that can fight your T1 defenses, which is part of why I made the switch. But yeah, that's the thing. I said, I guess I was a little wrong. That comms on 80%, 76 because I'm taking friendly fire. But you can see how quickly you get lower.
Yeah.
Destroyed.
I feel like the trade was closer than I
Battle
thought at
ended.
the end, just because it's basically whoever has the lowest HP gets blown up, right?
Did you self-D your comm?
Does it not work with self-Ds?
No, I don't
actually
think it
don't
does. Because
No,
your
it-
comm's
it
just
does
committed
not.
suicide, it's just gonna die.
Fair enough. Okay, well then it wouldn't have mattered anyway.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Interesting.
You can't kill my comm by blowing up your comm. That's not how it works.
When you say it like that, it makes sense.
If your comm wasn't cloaked and had
That
been
is a
lasering my
hilarious
comm
question.
down, it may have like done some damage, but I was only forward like that because I knew I could take you because of my rocket bots. Although by the looks of things, they were actually doing as much damage to my own commander as to your commander, so maybe I wasn't so right about that. But yeah,
I feel like even if I hadn't done the self-D, I think it would have. I think you still would have had more HP because at the very end, my commander took like 3 or 4 rockets in the face.
Yeah.
All right. I actually will have to go for like maybe 20 minutes or so. Or at least I like maybe in like 15 to 20 minutes. So maybe if
Okay.
someone else jumps in, I can
Alright.
spectate.
well, usually this is at the
I'm in a
point
1v1
where...
right now.
am I not in the lobby?
No, for whatever reason, you got booted when the last game ended.
Okay. Maybe I pressed... that's right. I accidentally pressed skirmish, which automatically removes me from the lobby.
Oh. But yeah,
I'd
after
suggest a
15, 20 minutes,
2v2.
I'll be able to come back. So
I suggest a 2v2 now, but we don't have enough people. So let's just do a 1v1. You guys want to do Theta?
I'm getting on. Getting-
I want to do Theta.
Yeah, let's do Theta 1v1.
What are we doing?
Mitchell's noobs
Yep.
2v2. No.
I'll
Let's
do
make it a
that.
2v2.
Alright.
You are now playing.
I don't know how skills are gonna be, but we can see when you log on. Nutty could also come play.
Yeah, Nutty, come play. I can't recall if I've ever actually seen you play bar.
What's the lobby code?
It's Academy Practice, it's called.
I actually have a bit more time than I thought. I have about 40 minutes, so I can get in, but I don't want to like.
Okay,
jump
Othello,
someone else.
jump in.
We can do a 3v3.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it might be best, if you just watch. We'll let Othello jump in.
Me?
Yeah. Alright, that looks good.
Okay.
I guess Othello, most of what I've been talking today is about those responses to the enemy, like dialing in. The enemy does this, I do this in response. And it's really good to go through these replays and go through those things. It's like, okay, they do this, I do this. They
One of Ripsy's favorite things is the what did he call it? The like OODA loop? With the response time and
yeah. But like, it's just the understanding that the best thing for you to do depends heavily on what I do. And so you want to make sure you're finding out what I'm doing. That's the ticks at the start of the game. And throughout the game, actually, you want to be doing that. If you can't see me, move your army forward so you can see me, see what I've got. Like, you push your army forward, you find out. I leave my commander forward on the front line. I find out what's going on so I can make the best decision. And then I go, it's like, okay, what's my best, most effective response? How can I make you as least effective as possible? How can I make me as most effective as possible? And then I've basically got a bunch of practice things. It's like, I know this is the best way to respond to this, just because it's really effective. And so it's like, you have things like, they have LLTs, you build rocket bots. They build thugs, you build rocket bots. They build centurions, you build thugs. They build grunts, you build centurions. They build ticks, you build grunts. Stuff like that. And of course, a lot of that is highly situationed and not as nailed down as that. But you build up that repertoire of responses and just go, it's like, okay, based on what they're doing, what's the most effective thing for me to do?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think that's one of, I feel like that's the hardest thing to do, honestly, is like making the right decisions like reading the game and making the right decisions accordingly.
Yeah. And it's a general thing, like, one of the reasons that I stopped building pawns when middle closed off, the reason I do that is because pawns are fast, they need space. When middle closes off, there's no space anymore. Not really. You've got the left side of the map and you've got the right side of the map where basically nothing's going to happen. So I built centurions to go over the left side of the map because they don't need to be fast. There's no real use there anymore. Because once middle gets closed off, west gets closed off too. And that's why you'll see a lot on a map like Theta, each of the lanes, or like in 8v8, you'll very quickly go to the slower units, because there's just not space for them to go anywhere and do anything. Except there often is, if you know what to do with it, but it's highly difficult. And so, like, that's why ticks shine early game. Like, there's so much space. But then you don't need that many ticks early, Nasi, because there's not much for them to shoot and there's not much for them to see. And so you just build a couple and you've seen everything you need to see. And you build a couple and and you're probably not going to really have anything to shoot at all, because you're just going to run out of things to shoot. See there, you have destroyed something and taken time away, but now you're pretty much out of what your ticks are going to be able to do. I don't know if you know, Nutty, you're muted. You're not deafened though, I think. I hope. Okay, fair enough.
Is he trying to learn the advanced things or just the basic things?
Whatever I think would be most impactful depending on their level of play, which is relatively advanced at this point. But they're also pretty basic too, so...
This is not basic anymore, because this is already understanding of what your units, what all the units are actually doing, to know that which is the counter for each unit. You need already the paper, scissor, stone mechanic.
Well, I don't
before
think
you-
it's that advanced, to be honest. I just think when you're more advanced, you can get more detailed about it and go this precise unit. But when you're learning, then you just go, it's like, okay, I go fast unit on big map. And you don't worry about which fast unit. But...
No, not
No?
really. I just
Okay.
want to get something. To be honest, if I want to learn the game, I want to get something, probably something out. Okay, I'm going to get outskilled straight away. This is my first stat, for example, because I'm getting outskilled. I do not build any windmills or whatever. So it's.
I don't know,
It's
I
more
do this talk about unit
But
choice
every
to newer
unit,
players too.
You need a lot of defensive towers, movable defensive towers in form of units.
Yeah.
Definitely, but if you got just 3 or 6 maxes and not 12 to compete for.
Yeah. Othello, rather than just going back and forward with your army, try to group it up, so like, bring your front units back, but don't stop your reinforcements from coming up and reinforcing them.
I see.
Also, with your vehicles, don't go forward and back, go side to side. Like, don't do 180-degree turns. Like, turn just slightly towards the side. Definitely don't chase with your commander. Lunge, you have plenty enough energy. Maybe drop an energy storage. Or converters if you want to go that route. Okay, Othello, this is where, you'll start to see, there's a commander there. It's closed up, you're in sizes, they're faster units, they don't really have much to do anymore. Defensively, yes. Aggressively, no. And so if you want to be aggressive, then you switch into brutes or lashes or something like that. Or if you want to be tricky, Nutty's side of the map is a lot more open than your side of the map, and so you could also send units over there. I'd make sure your side of the map is safe first, though. Like, either build laser towers or something like that. Lunge, what are you doing about that energy excess? Okay, that's fair. Jamerz, what are you doing about your energy excess? Nutty, what are you doing about your energy excess? Othello's got a balanced economy.
Commander has died.
Don't lose all your pawns for that, Nutty. You only need a few of them.
Destroyed.
You only needed like 6 pawns to kill that comm, if that. You lost a lot more than that. It's a good time to switch, Nutty, specifically because there's nothing else for your pawns to kill, basically. And he's got slower units, so you're going to need slow units to engage. Othello, don't waste time doing micro direction changes like that. Just send them in, watch them do something in like the 5 seconds that you know that you don't have anything to do, rather than making them take longer to go towards the enemy space.
Well, my economy's not balanced anymore.
No. Also, you saw something when you were in the enemy space. You should let your ally know about that, because it would be very useful for him to know.
I did ping it, but I probably should have typed something.
Yeah. Thankfully, he went for the player who already knew what to respond for, rather than the player who didn't. But Longe, yeah, I'd probably have gone for Nasi, not for Othello, simply because Othello knows what you've got, and Nasi doesn't, and so you'd have done a lot more damage to Nutty. Or he still doesn't seem to know what you've got.
He said he was deafened.
I think he's been responding in chat, but I haven't said what Longe has. What you want to do is you want to ping and say exactly what it is. Hello, make sure you've, that's fine.
commander has died. Battle ended.
Much as I was following that game, I wasn't quite sure what made the difference.
I think at a certain point, I certainly screwed up my economy. Like, I was overflowing. That could have made a difference.
Possibly.
I think Nutty losing that hill was a big difference, and you know, us having that early air advantage and harassment definitely helped put them on the back foot.
Yeah. I think, like, these ticks definitely did a bit of damage, but I don't think they did as much damage as they were worth, especially considering, like, they delayed multiple of your constructors out. So Nutty, even though you've like basically killed 2 of his mexes, you're still actually a mex down and a significant amount of army in terms of ticks down. So that wasn't actually a profitable trade for you in that position. Simply because it cost you more than it gained you. And that's very likely to happen in that situation, as I was saying. 1 or 2 ticks probably, and then you're really going to run out of things to do because they're going to have more units coming out. Unless they're like defending themselves with ticks, and then you might have ticks to kill. And then micro you can do. I think a very similar thing goes for you, Othello. You've got all these scouts, which in theory do have a function of defending you across the map here, but then they very quickly just run out of function and you're just out of units. So those...
Yeah,
Yeah?
The reason I queued up so much, and maybe I should cancel them, was because I saw that Lunge was building a lot of raiding units, so I wanted to counter that. But when I realized that when I killed his raid, I should have sort of laid off and switched to...
Very much so. I mean, you've built definitely 3 incisors, or not quite 3 incisors worth of tanks with that, and in terms of metal and definitely in terms of energy. So there's that. Idle factory time, idle constructor time isn't very good. And so yeah, this is a very non-profitable way to do that. To use them. And so just these raids on their own hand over a large advantage. Because now he's got a bunch of functional units, which Lunge, if you're watching this, could just entirely kill him straight up if you had a tick to scout him out and detect where the targets are. And Othello basically can't do anything about that.
Can I just say the reminder that if you start leaking like through your lane to ping your ally?
Yes.
I didn't realize that they were coming through the front until they're like back there. I might have been able to help reinforce or something like that.
Yeah.
But respond earlier, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Lunge had the units to close this off so the scouts couldn't get through, but I missed that. But yeah, I think it's a similar thing here, Jamerz. You have so many grunts that have been sort of, they've been pottering around over here trying to deal with scouts, but you really didn't need to bring so many up back. And if you had a bunch more, you could be putting a lot more pressure down here, at least seeing where his army is and keeping tabs on all that, making it more difficult for him to expand.
Yeah, that's what the 3 in front are for.
Yeah, but if you had more units on, then you would be a serious threat to his base right now, existential threat to his base.
I suppose. I guess I was just preoccupied with taking the hill.
Yeah.
like getting thugs up there, just because it's really hard to push someone off when they have thugs controlling it up there.
Yeah. Othello. A vehicle plant building incisors on its own. I'm pretty sure that uses most of your metal production, so one con and the factory is plenty enough to use all the metal production that you have at this point. So very much so, I'd say the commander should have walked way earlier. I know you're probably busy, but try to make sure that happens as soon as possible. Also, this constructor, which I believe drove out here before it drove out here, get these first and then there, and then your constructor ends up in a much more useful position. And it builds these first, which are, I believe, are safer. It's just, it also, like, gets there faster. Yeah. And so you'll have more metal production sooner. Not only that, you can drop a laser tower there, which is extremely useful. Okay, so I really feel like the initial game was like very much decided on like the utility of those scouts and things. Like you guys built scouts, they built constructors, and then you couldn't use those scouts to really achieve much. And so they were able to expand freely. There was also a lot of idle build power on this side, which is leading to like a massive difference in metal production and metal produced. A good thing when you know leaking is going on in fast units, bring a radar out here too. So your previous radar range is there. I'd say put up another radar here, and another one there, and another one there. That's a good rule of thumb, because it's like halfway between these is that, so that's where I'd add a new radar. Make sense?
Makes sense.
That would have been enough to keep those two metal extractors alive, save time walking on your commander. And of course I've talked about this with the incisors on the front. Especially when they don't have a scout to scout for them. Something you guys, Nutty and Othello, did a lot as well. Is these raids come through. This happens a lot, and I just don't think it's worth it. Like, even in this case, you come through, you're probably gonna kill a mace. Maybe not, because you haven't paid attention to it. So especially don't do this when you can't pay attention to it. But that's 300 metal that's just been dropped there, dead. That you've lost, plus they've got reclaim. Yeah, 324 metal. That's just been sacrificed there, and then he gets a little bit of reclaim, I think. I don't know. And similar thing with Othello. Now it's Othello's turn, he runs through with his incisors and goes to do a bit of damage.
I thought I found something nice, and it ended up being a waste.
Well, first thing, these need to be grouped together. They need to not be spread out like that. As it turns out, they are going through a pocket of vision, but you could have gone through like there and done it faster. See, it's like one incisor died just before that was dead. If you'd have come in all at once, you could have killed that laser tower before that incisor died. It would have just been one shot boom, and you have a half health incisor left over. Then next thing you do is you drive straight towards this metal extractor, and as soon as you see this, you just don't engage because you know you're probably outgunned. And if you're not outgunned, he still has plenty of time to build enough laser turrets there to shut this down, because you're heading into his most defensible area on the map. See this, drive this way.
Yeah.
The other thing you could have done is Nutty's raid went in, and then like 30 seconds later your raid goes in. If they go in at the same time, these maces are over there dealing with that still, and then you get to slide through here for free. But then once they get here, there's nothing else for them to do. Mexes over here have all been destroyed. They're just some trapped units with nothing to do. I reckon overall would be kind of better for you to not have these at all than to be doing this raid with them. Because see, even though you're pulling those units away from the front line, which in theory is valuable, if you choose wise units, and if you had like a bunch of missile trucks instead, they're gonna do the missile trucks are gonna do a very similar amount to making these useless on the front line, and they're gonna stay alive doing that, which is a lot better. Or you have had brutes instead or something like that.
I'm sorry, I will have to step away.
Yeah.
For a little bit of time, but I will be back.
Okay.
And I'll make sure to watch
Has
the
died.
review on YouTube. So.
Cool. Yeah, so I'll keep talking about we've destroyed 1 Mex and 1 laser turret, and I think there's 3 incisors that have gone down just in that area. And the converters. But I don't think that's a valuable trade at all. And we will destroy some Mexes here. Maybe if we were paying attention, this Mex doesn't quite go down, but at least these ones do. That's just to stress the importance of paying attention. If we had been paying attention, if we'd used this dies, and these die. But also I reckon... I don't know. I reckon they shouldn't have really made it through, but maybe I'm wrong and that raid was worth it to send it through. It just needed to be executed properly. So maybe that's something you can feel out for yourself, but I would very much prefer you to be building army that doesn't die like this. I would not worry about the commander at all. I kind of missed it, but Nutty with the commander here. The idea of killing the commander here, yes, sort of. In this case, the commander can defend this hill, and you're not going to be able to like do anything else with the pawns because you've killed everything you can with the pawns, and the commander's dead. But number one, you didn't need to lose that many pawns. Number two, I wouldn't be fighting this at all here because you don't have control. You're not going to get the Rex, and you're vastly outnumbered. Even if you manage to pick off a couple of the thugs, you're going to lose equal value or something like that in your pawns. In terms of unit choice, my response would probably actually be your Janus, simply because your Janus have more range. Maybe Whistlers as well, because they have even more range, and your Janus are going to struggle on the slope here. Personally, I would have stayed for rocket butts because of the slope, and because of shooting up the slope. But yeah. I would have also... Because your pawns are going to be sort of strong defensively against the thugs, because the thugs are only going to be able to attack one location at a time. And if they spread out, then you can just swarm like sections with the pawns. So if you keep the pawns alive, then that allows you to more freely expand and send out extra constructors, take these faster, and then you've got more economy, and then you're in a like a fighting position in this sort of a situation. Regarding economy, it's mostly fine. I just add... I mean, I guess there is an energy store, but if you're building stout, keep in mind you only need somewhere about like 10... Well, you need less than 10 energy per metal, and you've got something like 20 plus energy per metal. Even once wind drops down to average, it's going to be about 20 energy per metal, I believe. Somewhat mitigated by the fact that you've got mexes draining the energy production as well. But what I'd say to that is just, you don't need to scale this energy that much. You can afford to build something more energy costly like Whistler because you have that energy, or you can also say that you just throw down converters or something because you have that, or make more aggressive about getting the reclaim or something like that to use that energy production as fast as possible.
How do I create a thread appropriately? I have 3 lobbies, or 3 1v1s.
In the academy chat, just create a thread, name it whatever, the mentors will adjust the name if necessary. Yeah. And in terms of expansion path, this constructor coming out, this is really a dead end. If you send the constructor over here, then it has more mexes that it can come get, and so it's more valuable for the constructor to be over here. This is a bit of a scouting issue, but you also know that he had a significant army up here. Even though the Comrex died, and I understand there's a desire to... there's a desire to claim this area and fight for this area. You really don't want to when you know you've lost basically your entire army, and the enemy lost basically nothing for that. So you are going to want to play defensive. As I've been talking about in previous reviews, when the enemy's strong like this, come back here, wait where you're strongest, and wait for them to come to you until you're confident you can build up enough army to overwhelm. And then you wait for him to come to you, you wait for him to overextend. And if he doesn't, then he's a good player and he's got an advantage, and a good player will turn an advantage into a win. But if you want to wait for your best chance to win the game, back up, let him come to you, build up your army, and then go fight once you've got an advantage, like your splash damage advantage and speed advantage with your Jamerz, for example. They've got equal range to the thugs, so it's not a range advantage, but it can kind of work like that. If you go missile trucks, once you've got a range advantage and a speed advantage with the missile trucks, you can basically immediately start engaging with them. So maybe it's best for you to go missile trucks, because even though they've got less damage, they can start doing that damage way earlier, just because they can safely fight the enemy units. They've also got vision. I also, just as a rule of thumb, would not be going out of your vision to fight the enemy. I'd be staying within your vision, or sending a scout first, but that is establishing vision.
Just a side note, isn't the thug range like almost as long, if not as long, as a Whistler on top of that hill? The height boost?
I don't know. Let's have a look.
I'm pretty sure they can't kite them out from there.
I'm fairly certain that it's close, but it is not the same range.
The Whistlers have an extra 50 range. It's pretty close though. But again, it's like once he comes down the hill, if he's staying on the hill and staying still, like he has to stay pretty still, and then you can do shell shockers. If it's going over the ridge, then you've got a splash damage and an arc damage advantage with Jamerz. And so there's a bunch of different ways you can use the scenario to get a bunch of advantages. On a hill, your stout have pretty much no advantage. They don't have a speed advantage because it's a hill, they go slow. They don't have a range advantage because they just don't have a range advantage. They have a little bit of a damage advantage, except they cost a lot more, so it's not really a damage advantage. And they definitely... they have a slight splash damage advantage, but that's null and void because his units are spread out plenty enough that splash damage is basically going to be absolutely meaningless. Othello, when this is all coming in, I guess you're doing this for the extra build power. Yeah, that's right, he's not here. Anyway, when you switch from incisors or brutes to whistlers, a couple things. Firstly, you built a bunch more metal extractors that you didn't have before, and so now suddenly you have a bunch of metal production you can't use until you build additional energy production. That's one thing. The other thing is that you're building lashes. Lashes cost a lot of energy compared to the other units you could build. And so you can't really build all that many of them because you don't have the energy production set up for it. You had your energy production set up for brutes and incisors, primarily incisors. But that's fine, that's desirable, but yeah. You want to make sure you adjust your economy when you adjust what you're building with that economy, and potentially adjust it in anticipation.
Also the kind of time I like to take advantage of a metal storage. If I don't have the energy to spend my metal, it really helps avoid waste. It's really not all that expensive. I almost never feel building it.
I'd honestly just go for Solus because you have the build power to use enough of the metal, and then you wouldn't be accessing. But yeah, that's definitely another way to use it. Metal storage costs very little energy, but Solus cost even less. A storage definitely has less build time though, so if you need it now, then it's good. Yeah.
I just consider it as like a way to give you time, because like it takes a lot of base, like eco micro, to like catch up energy to like metal expenditure and yada yada.
Yeah. I want to see.
It really just helps smooth the transition, right?
Yeah. I want to see how Othello ended up with so much metal and storage. And then I think I'll call it for today after that. Let's wait for this to load.
Battle started.
Because he did have a balanced economy at one point, and I said that.
Still don't know how I haven't gotten ranked in open skill.
It takes a little while. Okay, so we're metal stalling so far. It's enough energy.
Hey,
not
Wombat.
too much energy. Okay, I guess this is where he starts to get behind, because he's building a bunch of mexes, finally stopped losing mexes, and then he doesn't add any additional energy production on. And that's where he starts gaining. He also switches to brutes, which cost more energy than his incisors, which puts him in a worse position. He's gotten shared energy from Nutty for a while, but then when Nutty runs out of energy, because of his energy storage, then Othello runs out of energy. Or because Nutty hasn't run out of energy, he's just stored it up. Othello runs out of energy because he was relying on the excess for a lot of time. And he's building more expensive units now, so can't do anything with them. Right, and so that's how he ends up. And then should be building energy right now after building all those additional mexes. This Con should be building energy that should be queued up in advance because he knows he's going to need it. But that's not there. Okay, that's what happened there. And for a moment, it's okay because Nutty starts accessing energy again. But by that time, it's already too late. Too much metal in storage. Metal in storage and energy received. Yeah, see that metal in storage goes up after he stops receiving energy. And then it stops. Why did it stop? Oh, because he starts building constructors, which takes so long to build that he can't really build them with any appreciable speed. Okay. Okay, so that's how it happened. And there's one more thing I want to see. I want to see his brutes that went after the commander there. I think they could have done something. Done a lot more damage, so I'm just going to look at that as well. Alright.
Battle started.
Hey, when does these brutes come out? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And, okay, brutes. So, at this point, they're going out into the unknown. So, first step for attacking, this commander builds radar before walking back, and then he walks forward with the army, is probably what I'd do. Sees the commander, he sees it, and goes around it. I mean, because he doesn't know what targets to pick. What I'd do in this case, walk forward, kill this, maybe send one to scoot around, kill this, but then you can come over here and kill this, absolutely dead, and there's nothing back here. And if you do that straight away, like very focused, rather than spending time on the commander and losing like one of your brutes, then you've actually got time to do damage. This could already been dead. You don't have to take damage from that. You have an extra one. You set target on this because a res bot has how much health? You have, okay, 220 health on a res bot, say, plus an extra shot for good luck, which is like 97. So let's say 300 health. That's like a quarter of its health off. And so it would already be dead already, I think. Partly because it also wouldn't have had time to gain health by firing because it does that, and this would have had less time to repair. This would already be dead. And then you have extra health. These stay alive for slightly longer, they're further ahead. But again, we're heading towards a base, and I mean, if you kite the pawns, because you don't have to take damage for the pawns, you will survive a little bit longer. But honestly, what I'd have... It's probably fair then to, like, kill these and then come back out. But you're not, I mean, against Banshees in that sort of a situation, you're not going to do much. But that's why that entire loss there is probably why I'd tend to say it's like, make this sort of transition to aircraft. Once you already have an army that could be pushing this forward, so what Launch has, he has like 5 maces or so. If he took those 5 maces and added like, I don't know, another 5, he could have pushed forward against those brutes. Othello would have been actively dealing with the brutes because and then there's nothing at that point to stop the gunships, because if he goes into lashes, then the mace kill the ground front line. If he stays ground, then there's nothing to kill the banshees. And so that's how you can sort of pin him against 2 fronts with an advantage and make those sorts of transitions multiple times more effective. Like, it works with this because, sure, he's just dead enough that he can't respond to the banshees, but he's definitely had the time to switch over to missile trucks, which can do a lot of damage to the banshees. I think moving the commander back, commander can actually laser against banshees very well, and Pounder can come back so it's actually defended by various things. And then just rather than building more constructors, you build more missile trucks. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna leave the review for there today. And yeah, I'm gonna leave the review there for now. Thank you everyone for coming. Actually, am I able to do this next week? Let's check my roster. I hope to be available next week.
I do have a little time left tonight, so I will still be playing. And if you guys want, I'll share my screen and help review after those games as well, or we can just play. But there will still be a lobby if you guys want some practice.
Yeah, I'll be available next week as well. Same time. Every time I say same time, I think of same time, same bat channel from Linus Tech Tips. Anyway, thank you everyone. I hope you all learned a bunch. Hi Nexa.
Hello.
I'm very sorry, but you can watch the VOD. But yeah, hopefully we can catch you next week. Okay.
If you will be here next week, when does that start?
2 hours 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, for me it's 8 p.m. US.
Yeah.
But thanks for your time, Master Bell.
You're very welcome.
Have a good night.
I hope that everyone learned a bunch and had a lot of fun. Right, catch ya. And thanks to anyone who stayed on Twitch chat again. Not very many people today, but thank you for your attention, and I hope you guys learned stuff as well. I just remembered that raiding channels exists. So let us raid Jaden. I'm just gonna send you guys over there. I'm not gonna join in the raid because I've gotta go. So catch ya. Alright, let's end the stream now.